YouTube, back at you again with another video. Today, it's gonna be quite an interesting video. I got my TSX here. I'm doing some work on that for a while. Some work trying to get it to where it should be, like basic maintenance and stuff. But yeah, today we're gonna talk about the Ninja 400 2019. I'm doing a very interesting video, and I think that this video will help a lot of guys if you have a bike that you're trying to make just a little bit faster and be able to keep up with those 600 boys. So what we're going to talk about today is to get a non O-ring chain and aluminum sprockets installed. Now I know what you guys are going to say. What are you doing? Leave it OEM. Why are you changing parts? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Obviously, it's not a track bike. I ride it on the streets all the time. But the real reason why I'm changing out the chain, let me just show you real quick. All right, so I was watching a couple of, look at that chicken strip. Boy, I get close to that edge. Not close enough, huh? So I was looking at a few differences. I've been doing a little bit of research on these O-ring chains. And I've come to learn quite a few things about them. It has its benefits, like I don't have to do the maintenance on the chain as often, which I really don't mind doing the maintenance on the chain. It's therapeutic for me. And it keeps the oils and stuff in between inside the roller. This is the roller here. This is the roller, and it keeps the oils and lubricants inside of there. Well, if you don't have an O-ring chain, that stuff kind of comes out quicker than it would if you had an O-ring chain. When you think of it like this. You know how it's like a flap, right? Two triangles, right? Let's say they're at an angle like this. Made you look. Okay, so let's say they're at an angle like this, right? Like that, like a triangle. Oil goes in, but then it closes to keep the oil from coming back out. If that makes sense. If you don't have an O-ring chain, the oil just kind of like it comes out quicker, and the chains get dirty faster. But yeah, so yeah, man, look at those wheel spacers. So what I'm gonna basically do today is I'm just gonna take off front, rear sprocket, and I'm gonna try to take the chain off without breaking it. What I mean by breaking is without cutting the chain. I think I have a way to do that. And that's basically pass the chain from the top here over and then down, and then just loosen this bolt and loosen this bolt. Turn the rear set just a little bit, and it should pass because there's nothing else holding this rear set to the bike. And then I'll have the chain off the bike without cutting the chain itself. If I ever have to go back OEM, all I have to do is just put the sprocket, the front sprocket, the rear sprocket, and just roll the chain back onto the bike, and I'm done. But yeah, so this is gonna be quite a lengthy video. I'm gonna try to keep it as short as I can so I don't bore you guys, but that's basically what I'm gonna do. All right, so the first thing I want to show you about this chain, the O-ring chains, they're a lot like stiffer, tighter. They don't have any slack in them. Not slack, but they don't have any rotational mass. Like, they don't roll as easy. So I'm gonna roll the bike, the rear wheel, a few times to show you how quick it stops now versus when I swap out the chain, how much it rolls before it comes to a stop. So full force. That's it. That's all I get. That's all I get. A couple of turns. So an easier way to do this is I use that as a marker. So however many times it passes this point right here is how many times I count. So I'm up. 1. Okay, one more time. So if it's here, let's count. 1, 2, 2 times. Let me do this. Let me take off the guard, the chain guard first. I'm gonna take off the sprocket guard, and then I'm gonna have access to that front sprocket. It has like this crushed banjo bolt that I need to make straight, and then I'm gonna get my impact gun and then have my partner hold down the brake pedal. I'm gonna take that bolt off, and then I'm gonna focus all of my attention on this part here, and then I'm gonna focus the rest of my attention on taking that bolt off, this here off, and then that bad boy should slide right out of that. And then to put on the new chain, it should be a lot easier. I'm gonna take the rear wheel off, take off this rear sprocket, put the new sprocket on the front. All right, so since I got the camera out, you're gonna use a 5mm. Oh, that's not gonna focus. Oh, there we go, and it's there. So a 5, you're gonna take this off, this off. I'm gonna take this off for the front sprocket since I'm already here. And then on the other side, you want to take off this one. So I'm gonna take those off real quick. All right, and then for this one that's on the bike, you need like a very small flathead or a plastic pry to take that off. So let me take that off real quick. I've already taken off this one, this one, this one, and also I don't think I went over what I bought, but I got the premium motorcycle chain, non-O-ring 3D, Vortex front 14 tooth sprocket, which is there. Let me see if I have the part number. If you need the part number, here it is. Here. And then the aluminum rear sprocket from Vortex as well. This is a 41 tooth. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, there it is. 41 tooth rear sprocket. And yeah, man. So yeah, so this is basically what I have and what I'm gonna install today. But I gotta finish up with this part. So I just took off that plastic piece. Very, very simple with a flathead. I stuck it in there and I pop, and it came right up. So now I'm gonna take off, if I'm not mistaken, this is a 9 or an 8mm there. And then there's one here. And then this front sprocket cover will come off. It's gonna give me more access to that part, and then I'm gonna focus all of my attention on taking off that front socket. All right, guys, so real quick, just looking at this rear set setup, you will have to take off the rear set, or at least, yeah, you'll literally have to take off the rear set. I was trying to find ways to avoid taking it off, but you have to completely take it off, man. So yeah, so I'm gonna take it off just to not cut my my OEM chain. I'm actually against cutting chains. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm not gonna cut the chain. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off this rear set. I'm gonna take off this linkage, and the whole thing should come apart. This here is a 12. This is also a 12, and then this is a 22mm socket. So it's a 22, and it's a direct connect. It's a direct fit. Here's a 12. See, that comes in and it's right there. So that's a 12, and it fits perfectly on the top and also the bottom. But in order to put the bottom, oh, I think the bottom's a 14. Yeah, the bottom's a 14. All right, so the top is a 12 and the bottom is a 14, and then this is a 22. And that should take off this entire rear set here after you remove this link, which is, these two are 10s. So if you take these two 10s off, this whole rear set should come off. Man, I know this sounds like a lot, but again, I'm against cutting chains. All right, so real quick, guys, all I did here was get a punch, and I just straightened this out. I have a 24mm socket here, and this 24 obviously does not fit. So I'm gonna go to the local hardware store and pick up a 26 and or a 28. But from the looks of it, I think it's a 28. So let me go grab a 28 real quick, and then when I come back, I'll continue with this chain and sprocket swap. But this is gonna be the hardest part of the whole thing. All right, guys, so I had to run and get a 27 socket for this guy. It's a 27. So the way I would tell you to do this, right, if you was doing this, is you may or may not need a partner. If you don't want to use a partner, use a breaker bar. Put the breaker bar through here, tape off the ends where it's going to make contact with any metal to keep it from breaking. If not, have someone hold down the brake on the other side so you can break this loose. But I have one of these kick-ass drills, so it's not going to take much to knock this loose. So let me get the person to hold down the brake pedal, and then we'll go from there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the hard part is done. Broke this loose with an impact drill. Then you want to take these guys off. Oof. Nice and toasty. All right, so the brake, you can't take this off unless you take the axle out. So it slides pretty easy. And then the hardest part, which is that front bolt, it's already off. And all I had to do was have someone hold down that brake pedal. So to keep it from just falling to the ground, I'm gonna put my knee under the wheel and try to record this part. And I can't, mainly because I have to hold the wheel straight as I pull it out so that don't fall. So just to save myself some time, I'm gonna turn the camera off. I'm gonna zip tie this again to here, pull the axle out, and then focus all of my attention on these. All right, so as you can see, I zip tied the rear brake caliper to the bike. Here is the chain just kind of hanging, and then the wheel is here. So all I have to do now is just take off this bolt. It's 27mm bolt, and then this here. Whoa! God, that is hot. No, I'm kidding. All right, then take this off. This actually lines up. Remember the orientation, it has to actually flange outward towards you when you put this on. And then the sprocket itself to just slide right out of there. Oh, it's because of the chain. So let me just take the chain off real quick. Maybe I should focus all of my attention on the chain. All right, so let me just take off this rear set, take off this top one. Remember the top one is a 12 and the bottom one is a 14. So I need to take this one off. I may not even have to take this off. Watch this. I didn't realize that. Take off this one. It goes in the middle. And then the bottom one. I thought you had to take this off. I guess I was wrong. Once I take this part off, the rear set should just fall flat straight down. And then once the rear set is off, the chain should just automatically just pop right off the bike. The only thing is this part here, it won't come off because I have to lift the bike up to get this part free. But I'll do that off camera. Yes, let me just finish taking this bottom bolt out. Oh, and also there's a spacer. Don't put the rear set back without that spacer. Nothing will line up. Almost there. Yeah, I gotta do it two hands. So I'm gonna cut the camera off. All right, so basically I took off the whole rear, well, not the whole rear set, but I just basically unbolted everything that needs to be unbolted. And then now all you have to do is just lift this part here and slide the chain right off. And the chain is completely off. The only thing is it's stuck on this part here, but the chain attached to the bike is no more. And I had to make no cuts to the chain itself. And that's what I want you guys to understand. The difference between the way I do it and the way some other guys do it here on YouTube. So since I got everything off, I'm just gonna wipe off some of this excess grease. All right, so when you take off the OE sprocket, look at the orientation of the sprocket itself. So I'm gonna set this one down. Basically this side faces you, and then the other side with the indent faces the bike. So keep that in mind when you're taking yours off and putting a new one back on. All right, so here's the Vortex Indust Hardened Steel front sprocket. Pretty much the same thing as the OE sprocket, but it does feel a lot lighter than the OE sprocket. So if you look at this, there's a bored out part of the sprocket, and then there is a end part. What it looks like is the sprocket is going to end up going like this. Because if you look at it, this side is flat, and then this side is sort of indented. So I'm going to put the sprocket on the bike like this. This is still loose. Trust me, it's loose. This bolt, as you can see, is still a little gap there, and then this is obviously still loose, and this is still loose. I just need to make sure I put the screws back where they go. But as you can see, I can still shift just like normal. It's just the rear set is not tightened down. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus all of my attention on that rear sprocket. All right, so real quick, I don't want you guys to think I just put the wheel on the ground just like that, willy-nilly. I did put it on a piece of rag so I don't mess up the brake rotor. So all you gotta do now is just take off these bolts here. I always go star pattern when it comes to a wheel. So you start on one side and then you go immediately across from where you left off. They are the same teeth, front and rear. I did not modify the teeth at all. So I should have the same top end speed and acceleration. Oh, forgot one. And that's how you take off a rear sprocket. And this is an all steel sprocket. It does feel heavier in the hand compared to the aluminum, which I just had in my hand a few minutes ago. So let me grab the aluminum one. And this is the aluminum one. Wow. This is a night and day difference. Like I can barely have to use any finger strength to hold it in place compared to the OE one. So to put this one on, it should just fall into place like that. And then you just put the original bolts back on. Again, they're 20-inch pounds for the rear sprocket. I do have a torque wrench, and that's what I'm going to use to torque them down. This might be hard. Let me see. All right, guys. So welcome back. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to jump across. So 32 pounds. When you hear that click, that means stop. Jump to the other side, do the same thing. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna just do it off camera, but you guys get the gist, and I should be good. I'm gonna take it for a quick spin. I'm gonna test these periodically just to make sure they didn't budge from the 32 pounds. All right. So if you look, see how it has those curves in the chain? That's stiffness. That robs the bike of its horsepower, and it shouldn't be like that. So for instance, if I hold it straight up, it shouldn't hold that curvature, right? So I'm gonna take out the new chain and show you the difference between the OE chain and the new chain that's going on the bike. So let me see if I can cut this out really quick. This is the new chain. Comes with a master key, thank God. I don't have to go looking for one. It does come with that residue on there just to keep the chain from rusting out and shipping. But already in the bag, I can already tell that the chain is very limp. All right. So if you look, compared to the one chain I just showed you and this one, you see how it doesn't hold any of those kinks, no matter how I hold the chain. Now, some of you guys might say, oh, the chain is brand new, that's why. That's actually incorrect. I'm gonna do a review on this chain in about 30 to 90 days. So I'll say 90 days from today. And I'll take the chain back off the bike to show you the difference between this chain, right? Look, it doesn't hold any of those shapes. I'm wiggling the chain back and forth and it doesn't hold any shape, right? So now let me show you the chain that just came off the bike a few seconds ago. So that chain you just saw is non-O-ring, and this chain is O-ring. So you see how stiff? Okay, so you see? It's not waving like it should, even all the way out. You see that? And at the very bottom, it won't curve out. Has a kink to it, like as if something here is binding when it's not. All right, so I'm gonna put the two chains side by side, make sure I have the same links and the chain. And if I do, I'm just gonna mount the new gold chain onto the bike, and I'm gonna store this chain away after I lube it a few times. All right, guys, so good news and bad news. Good news is I got more chain than I need. Yay! Bad news, I gotta cut the chain to length. Very, very simple what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a die grinder. I'm gonna grind out that tooth. And then I have a chain breaker, and I'll break the chain link here, and then I'll put the master link between these two, and it should be the same length. So if you look, the chain is exactly the same length. Off by a few, but for the most part is the same length. All right, I find this one a lot easier to put on, the master link, mainly because if you look at this, all you have to do is get some needle nose pliers and pinch that over, and then I'm gonna use chicken wire to hold the master link to the key. So yeah, so let me get some needle nose pliers. I'm gonna pinch that over, and then I'm gonna use some chicken wire, and I'm gonna link this key to the master key. And then that will be the install after I make some adjustments to the chain. Obviously, check my slack, tighten down this ball here to, I'm gonna tighten this down to 80 foot-pounds. This is 76 pounds, and then that will be the video. So let me just do that real quick. I'm gonna do it off camera. I know you guys are gonna be like, how come you're not ever recording the whole thing? My GoPro camera broke recently, so once I get that replaced, I should be able to record the whole thing. So like I said, I went to get some cotter pin for the bike, because I know I'm gonna do this more often than none, and you know how to do this part. I shouldn't have to explain how to re-put in your cotter pin. Now what I'm gonna do is, since it's so long, I'm probably gonna cut it to length, or I'll just wrap the bolt itself. It don't make no difference to me. I don't have the right tool, but I'm just gonna wrap this around the bolt. You can cut it to length too. You can like bend one side, bend the other side, and cut both ends, and then it should be fine after that. I did put the chain, I did use a chain slacker, and I got it to length. So now I just need to put this cotter pin and then go for a quick spin. So let me do that real quick, and then that should be. So I got the chain of spec. As you can see, I've rolled the wheel a few times just to make sure everything lined up perfectly. So yeah, we're gonna do that same test. So you see where this is, right? I'm at the top of the caliper. I'm gonna spin the wheel, and we're gonna count how many times. This time I'm not gonna even use as much force. I'm just gonna spin 1, 2, 3. 3. Okay, I guess that's not a really good example. So let me really roll it like I was doing before. What a difference, and it's still going. That is a difference. One more time. If you want, let's use a master link as an example. So it's there, right? And then we'll just spin. There's a master link. Wow. Wow. Yeah, man, that's a hell of a difference. So that's the video, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching this Kawzsaki Ninja 400 2019 sprocket and chain replacement or upgrade. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.